Good morning, family. It's Monday, February 3rd, 2020. This morning we're looking at the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 24. In it, you're going to see the, I think, famous, popular, well-known story of David's encounter with King Saul in the cave, where Saul is pursuing David into the wilderness of En-Gedi and steps into a cave to relieve himself. And while he's in there, David creeps up on him and clips off the corner of his garment. And shortly thereafter approaches Saul, face bowed to the ground, and pleads his case to the king. And the chapter concludes with Saul, at least for the moment, being responsive to David and letting David go on his way, with David promising to not cut off Saul's descendants after him, with Saul promising, with Saul acknowledging that David will in fact sit on the throne. And so, that thing that David did, where he, his men tell him, "Look, the Lord has delivered your enemy into your hand, and you can do what you want with him now." And all David does is simply cut the corner off of David's robe and go to him and say, "Look, Saul, behold, your eyes have seen that the Lord had given you today into my hand in the cave, and some said to kill you, but my eye had pity on you, and I said, I will not stretch out my hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed." David showed mercy to his enemy. He could have easily killed Saul in that cave, and he showed mercy. That's very Christ-like, is it not? To show mercy to an enemy. Isn't that what Christ has done for you and for I and for every other believer that's ever lived? Christ showed mercy and grace. Jesus did not have to die for us. He did not have to call us out of darkness. He did not have to bear the wrath of God on the cross for you and I. He could easily crush us, but he has shown mercy and grace. And that is an example for us today. How many times do you have someone right where you want them? You've trapped them in their words. You've caught them in the act. You've witnessed them. They're in a position to where they've wronged you, and now they've exposed themselves, and you can really come down on them hard. That happens frequently, does it not? But rather than dropping the hammer on them, like maybe you think they deserve, or rather than, holding their foolish words out there for them to see and mocking them or making a fool out of them, perhaps you show them some mercy. Perhaps you show them grace and turn the other cheek. The Bible says that we're not to repay evil for evil. In David's mind, to have killed Saul at that point would have been evil, because Saul was the Lord's anointed. So we're called to not repay evil for evil, and that's exactly what David did here. He did not repay evil for evil. He repaid evil with good. He loved his neighbor as himself. And to Saul's credit, he at least for this moment he repents, and he doesn't destroy David at this time. And so this could be a good lesson for us today. And I know I witness a lot of back and forth sometimes between you boys. And I know just in my own personal life, there's opportunities at my work to really go back and forth with people and argue and fight and contend. And I think sometimes it's best to just not do that, to just turn the other cheek, to not give the other person what they want. You know, if David had attacked Saul, let's say David had attacked Saul in that cave, and his initial blows or thrust of the sword had not been effective, and Saul had been able to engage in battle with David in that cave, well, David would have, if he had done that, he would have confirmed everything that Saul had believed about him, that David was out to get me. And so let us recognize that to show mercy, to show grace, to not repay evil for evil, to love your neighbor as yourself, to turn the other cheek. You know, Jesus talks about going the extra mile, you know, with those who might not love you, that might be your enemy. Jesus went a lot of extra distance for us that he didn't have to go. And if that's our example, if Jesus is our standard, and if Jesus is the one that we are to look to, and the Bible says for us to be like him, to emulate him, to trust him, to have faith in him, and to follow after him. And that's the type of thing that he is calling us to go into, is showing mercy to our enemies. And so that's 1 Samuel chapter 24. I pray you children have a blessed day today, that homeschool is, that you're productive, and that you do your duty and your due diligence in all that you're given to do today, and that you work hard. The hand of the diligent will rule, but the slack hand gets put to forced labor. And so remember that as you get older. Be diligent. Learn that lesson early in life, all right? Or you'll be taught it later. God bless you. Have a good day. I love you all, and I look forward to seeing you tonight. Bye-bye.